Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. This video is for everybody but red. So before we look at the ARNA chart, it's an interesting chart, and I think ARNA has really worked well with technical analysis. I know there's binary events and it looks like it's all over the place, but if you look at it with an open mind, I think you'll see that there's technical things that are going on that are fairly typical and classical patterns. But I need to read this to you, and that is that the website and this video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research. And you need to make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. We're looking at a daily chart of ARNA Pharmaceuticals, and the thing that strikes me about this chart are two things. This is a clear triangular consolidation pattern that is nearly a year old, and these patterns form typically after a sizable move one way or the other, and approximately 2/3 of these patterns, maybe a little less, maybe 60%, but about 2/3 of these go on to, instead of reversing back down, they serve to set up the new base level for a renewed move in the same direction that led to their formation. So that means we would be looking for ARNA Pharmaceuticals to go up from here. And what's interesting too is we've got this, we've got a green line here and we've got a red line. Let me show you what those are real fast. So here is what this green line is. The green line is the line that is drawn over the previous high that was in place prior to the FDA panel voting down for approval of lorcaserin, which we now know as Belviq. And I'll confess, I was one of those people. I thought it would be voted in, and I was ready to head on up to, 18, 19 bucks a share, but it was not to be. I sold my shares in pre-market in the 270s before it later went down to go under $1.50. And I felt like I was really a smart cookie for having done that for all of 2011 and a good, the latter part of 2010, all of 2011 and 2012. Whatever. But the important thing is that the psychology of the people who got trapped in this downward move, when FDA approval did occur, I think you find that there would be support in this area right here because people were basically willing to say, I got burned on this before, but now that it's approved, I'm willing to buy back at what I bought it for before, because now it's the same price stock, only now we have approval. And so I'm one of those people. I was buying on these dips. I did not buy this first dip. I bought whenever it would get around 8, and then we had 2 dips to about 750, where I picked up about 40% of my shares. But that's not important. The important thing is what's going on with the chart. So we have this big move up, and then we talked about the green line. Now the red line is long-term resistance. You can see that in 2000, ARNA, without benefit of having any approved drug, was trading for $46.55 roughly, call it $46 in 2000. Now we have approval, and we closed last Friday at $8.69. Think about it. No drug, 46, drug 8.5. But the important thing is this long-term resistance line, 99% of the trading that has taken place after FDA approval, with the exception of this one little dip, has all been over this long-term resistance line that is now broken, meaning this line should be support. One more thing to point out, and this is something I just find amazing. I don't know that you could ever really trade on this, but these two tops were in place in 2000 and in 2006. We only had one bottom, but if you take this line and make it parallel and snap it down here to your 2004 low, that is exactly where ARNA Pharmaceuticals bounced. That cannot be coincidental. That is evidence of the propensity for stocks to trade in parallel channels. Okay, let's take a look at this pattern real quick. Here is the Consolidation Triangle. I have put a line that runs exactly in the middle of the start and finish, running out to the apex. And the reason I've done that is because a lot of times when you get these constricting patterns, you'll see that there's a line that runs right down the center of the pattern that touches on lots of little points of resistance and support. In the case of ARNA, mostly resistance. So I do that because that in my mind that helps to add some validity to the pattern when you see that really and truly everything is getting smaller and closer together as you get more and more towards the apex of the pattern. So now that we know we're dealing with a triangle pattern, we should know to expect one of two things. We either will get a breakout to the upside from this pattern, and if that takes place, we measure the height of the pattern where we get the first reactive move. Some people might say it would be back here, but I'd rather err on the side of being a little conservative. And depending on where that might break out, we would be looking at a move, if it is to the upside, of somewhere between 17 and 18 bucks. Again, it depends on where it breaks out. If it takes a really long time to break out, it could be as low as the mid-15s. But this is kind of the general rule, that the height of the consolidation pattern is the expected move out of the pattern, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. And I'm not prepared to tell you for sure this pattern is going to go up. I can just tell you that the odds favor it go up. And if Belvique has a successful launch, I don't think there's any reason to expect it to go down. If it were to go down, then we would be looking at a move down to about $4. If that were to be the case, I'd probably say buy with both fists. But I really don't. I'm not thinking that's going to be the case. And now let me take a look at one more quick thing. If we look at an hourly chart, these lines get a little bit of a mess. But basically, tell you what, let me do it in a 30-minute. Basically, since the DEA, excuse me, not the DEA, since the breakout took place back in late May, which was a very nice move. Since that breakout took place, ARNA has been trading down in pretty much a descending wedge pattern. That is a typical way for shares to slowly get sold off. And if you look at the volume, you can see that the volume is also tapering off at the same time that the price is getting lower. You can see this is actually, I don't know why this appears on my volume by default, but this is a moving average of the volume, and you can see it's getting less and less. What I'm looking for as a sign that ARNA is getting ready to make a renewed move upwards is for a break of this top line. We briefly had that break early Friday morning, but you know, the market makers here, they're not going to be predisposed to doing us any favors. I really get the sense that that the market is being depressed as much as it can be. I don't think it can be totally depressed. If it could be totally depressed, we would not have seen these 2 days, 3 days of strong trading back in late May. But I'm expecting a period similar to this coming up when we break over the top of this top line right here. And I would expect a move actually to the mid-9s to about 950. And I'm basing that upon the chart. And what I see in the chart is essentially, I think, let me go to a 2-hour version here. What I see in the chart is essentially sort of a double bottom that was formed with these two touches on about 750 and a neckline, if you will, this red line right here. Now this line should provide strong support. Currently that is at about 842. I mentioned in the forum at Yahoo that I think the 840s are not off the map. This could come down to 840, and nothing would be at all amiss. So I would say be prepared for that. But if you look at the height of this double bottom, the measuring stick for the move out of a double bottom from the point of breakout is the depth of the pattern, and that gives us let me measure that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. It actually measures out to about 986. I think this line will be a struggle, but if we get that 986, then ARNA could be off to the races, because that would also signify a breakout of this entire consolidation that should set the wheels in motion for that move north of 15. So guys, that's the chart. And I just want to say a special word to Red. Hey, thanks for not watching. Y'all take care.